Good evening, folks, and thank you for joining us here on Dinamo TV. It is a special episode because it is pre-recorded. Because when this goes to air, I'm actually away on a short 3-week overseas trip. My name is Tonchi Prusats, and it's a pleasure to be with you tonight. Over the next 2 weeks, we're going to take a trip down memory lane in many ways. We're going to feature our 4 living legends that this year were awarded life membership at our 50th anniversary gala. And tonight we'll be looking at Miro Hedges and Mario Jutriša. We'll be featuring some already recorded interviews with the 2 legends. Miro was interviewed last year on Dinamo TV. And Mario Jutriša was interviewed earlier this year, and we will catch up with those replay footages, if you like, straight after this very short break from our major sponsor, and then after that, sit back and enjoy a trip down memory lane.
The IMD Group is regarded as one of the largest deliverers of concrete structure solutions in Victoria. Formed in 1994 by Ivan and Kathy Filipovic, their passion and commitment to getting the job done safely and economically has underpinned their success in the industry. IMD partners with large-scale building and construction companies in both the private and public sectors on projects large and small. With our corporate headquarters based in South Melbourne and storage yard based in the southeast suburbs, we have at our disposal thousands of square metres of quality materials, along with state-of-the-art lifting and crane equipment, enabling us to deliver the largest projects. We are committed to delivering high-quality projects by partnering with our clients and collaborating with project suppliers to ensure each job is delivered to exceed expectations. From humble beginnings, IMD now employs more than 1,200 dedicated professional and support staff, involved in a number of landmark projects right across Victoria. The IMD Group is a massive supporter of the Croatian community, backed soccer clubs in Victoria, and is proud to be the major sponsor of the St Albans Dinamo Football Club in 2024.
Welcome welcome to Dinamo TV. It's been a while between drinks with our Living Legends series, but there's so much happening at the club. But today it's my absolute pleasure to be coming from the home of one of the most well-known forefathers of the club, Miro Hedges. It's an absolute pleasure to have Miro here on Dinamo TV. First of all, thank you for agreeing to come on Dinamo TV. It's an absolute pleasure to have you and to chat with you as part of the Dinamo Living Legend series. First of all, how are you?
I am well, thank you, Tonchi. Enjoying my retirement, and pleasure to be with you on this new venture, Dinamo TV.
Yeah,
absolutely magnificent.
Well, we're certainly hoping to lead the way in many, many ways, and I guess be pioneers in some ways, and that's very similar to what you did back in the day. But we'll get to that very shortly. But
great promotion. That's excellent.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about Miro Hedges. Let's go right to the very, very start. We're not going to ask you if you remember, but where were you born?
I was born in Slavonski Brod, in Slavonia, Hrvatska, in 1949, so that makes me about 74 years old. Well, we came to Australia in 1966 when I was about 16 and a half years old. But the life in Slavonski Brod in those days, it was sort of early after the war, Second World War. And my father was involved in the war on the Croatian side, so the life wasn't easy. It was a difficult life. But his oldest brother, my uncle, already migrated to Australia, and he was living in Geelong. And so by early 60s, we decided that we'll move as well.
Did you have troubles? Did you have difficulties coming out as a family back then, or was it?
No, we, for some reason or other, we didn't. They gave us the green passports. They virtually written us off. So the entire family, we have moved out here. So originally we come to Geelong, and I started playing soccer with Koraya. And got it to the second division, as a matter of fact, in those days. Steve Horvath, the senior series, the old Steve Horvath, and we played together at some stage. And I saw the involvement when we started North Geelong, original Geelong, Croatia, but before it got expelled. So that's what it is. I also consider myself not just Slavonski Brod boy, but also the Geelong boy.
Yeah. Now, before you got involved with St Albans Dinamo, you were already, this is the early 70s, very heavily involved in the Croatian community in Melbourne, and it was an interesting time, a turbulent time. Hrvatsko proljeće, Croatian Spring, was happening in 1971 in Croatia, and your own involvement with the Croatian community here was just getting bigger and bigger. Tell us a bit about those days.
Well, coming to Geelong was Kula Hrvatstva. You know, that's what we called it, Kula Hrvatstva. There was very, very well developed, busy, excellent Croatian community already in Geelong, and they had assembled to play music. They had and all young kids, you know, like between 12 and say 15, 16. Like I was 16 and a half at the time. We had a folk dancing group. It was called Frankopan Zrinski, and I'd reckon that would be one of the very first folkloric groups, Croatian groups in Australia at the time. So it was a very busy community. I joined it straight away and got involved in that. But as you said, then there was this awakening in Croatia. The Hrvatsko proljeće, you know, came along. And well, by that time, I finished my school. I finished Geelong West Tech, and I have moved. I have enrolled at RMIT, Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, to study at that time civil engineering, which I changed later on to architecture. So I moved gradually. I moved to Melbourne. Yes, I
And so
did.
what was that? What time was that? Around about 1970?
Oh,
70,
69,
69,
70.
70, yeah.
69, 70. And Melbourne had a sort of a little bit of a divided Croatian community. There was a lot of these, I'll call them little gods, politicians that were sort of pulling things one way or the other way. There was HOP, there was Seljačka stranka, there was Otpor, Odbor.
So a lot of it on political lines.
Political lines, But there was also Melbourne, Croatia, and which originally came from Geelong. And as I said, I even played with a couple of boys that come back from Melbourne and played in Geelong, like Steve Horvath, senior. So Melbourne was also busy, but it wasn't as good, as nice as it was in Geelong at the time. But I did join in. We started a newspaper here in Melbourne called Hrvatski tjednik Osvit. I reckon it was, well, they said it was the first Croatian weekly newspaper printed, first Croatian weekly newspaper in the world, because we couldn't count what was printed in back home, because that was still Yugoslavia, Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia, and Croatia was just a socialist republic, one of the units of the Yugoslavia. So it was a Croatian paper, Hrvatski tjednik Osvit. I was involved with that. Urednik was Marko Bagarić, but there were other people around us like Vlado Vitez, Toni Vržina, myself, and involved with the paper as well.
And Toni Vržina, who was later to become a legend of Dinamo, St Albans Dinamo, was, I think, the sports editor, and it had probably one of the best sports coverages at the time.
Well, that's it. That's what it is. That's where we got to know each other. So when, say, 1974, when Melbourne Croatia got expelled, of course, in early 70s, about that time. But in 74, when Melbourne Croatia at that time, took over the Lions.
Yeah, Essendon Lions, yeah. Yep.
And Vržina was heavily involved there. Well, he got me involved as well.
Yep.
I was there a lot of times with him at Essendon. And we started Matica Hrvatska and other things because of the Proljeće, what was happening back home, Gotovac and Tudjman and them. I've got Tudjman's book, Mali narodi, velike ideje. I've got that book in early 70s.
Yeah.
I knew about the guy then,
So the Croatian Spring, as we said, it was a volatile time in the community in Croatia, but also over here in Australia. And as you said, there was a lot of division, I guess. But then at the same time, there were institutions like Melbourne Croatia, the soccer club, that did unify the community. Now, a little bit after that, you became involved with the Dinamo, who was a new club, St Albans Dinamo, back in the days. Interesting times. How did you get involved with Dinamo, and what were your first recollections of those early days?
Well, what was happening then? There was a lot of young men of that age that wanted to play soccer, but not all of them could play at Croatia, and they were forming groups here and there. And in about probably 77, I'd say, Split formed as a club and played the first season. And that's where some of the boys were already playing in this industrial league. They were playing for different clubs and all this. So they got the idea that they can also form another club on the west side of the city, sort of,
And where was Split? Was Split located?
I think Split was
north?
out north, Broadmeadows, Glenroy way. That was Kocian had Split Repairs, sort of a business, and he sponsored them. That's how they got also the name Split and all this.
Yeah.
So these boys got an idea that they want to form another club because there were so many of them. They were playing, training behind St Albans High School and all this, and there was 20, 30 boys. And many of them actually came from Melbourne, Croatia and all this. They just couldn't make the first team. Two or three were playing in St. Albans, the rest were playing Sunshine West, this and that. And they come to me, I think, in 77, and because I already had a business, I started design drafting business in Footscray. And they said, oh, look, we want to go into Industrial League, we want to form the club, and would you be the sponsor? And one thing led to another, and they formed the club, and they got me to be the president, and it called it Hedges Drafting Dynamos.
Because it was Industrial League.
Because Industrial League.
Company
and they put this club into the bottom of the bottom in the 4th Division West. There were 4 divisions, first, second, third. And in this 4th division, there were like 3 other divisions, like East, North, whatever, and we were in the West. 4 Division West. So that's where we started. And the first season that we started we played first season in 1978. Would you believe? But even before we kicked the ball, they put us into this Doherty Cup or something, or Black Douglas. I can't remember now. It was a long time ago. They put us into this cup, and first they drove us. First club that we're going to play against was Dufton, and they were in the state league.
Oh gosh!
They were, they were in the league with Macedonia and Preston Macedonia and them. They were state league, and we beaten 3-1 on our on our ground behind St. Albans High School, which we marked the lines ourselves, and we welded the goal posts and build the ground ourselves. We had permission from St. Albans High School to sort of.
What was the reaction when you beat a club that was it was a real David and Goliath battle, and you beat
the newspaper, because and they were making statements like, oh, the Dinamos could have beaten anyone. The ground, they were blaming everything on the ground. They said the ground was small, it was bumpy, it was this and that, everything but say that we played really well. We formed actually a club, a team that they had really good players, and could have taken anybody on.
In those early days, it was a meteoric rise. It went very, very quickly from, as you said, the bottom of the bottom leagues, and virtually moved up very, very quickly because you had such good players, and the club was really well structured. And before you knew it, you found yourself in higher divisions. How was it? And then, apart from just being a sponsor, you became involved as a member of the committee and eventually president. What was it like running the club back in those days, late 70s, early 80s, compared to maybe something like today?
Well, straight away they elected me from the day one as a president, and but we were friends. The club, we formed the club because we were friends in the first place. Many were related, brothers, sisters, and all this. Like how I'm related to Zdenko Brkacic. I married his sister, so he's my brother-in-law. And he was the captain of the team for many years. So that was this interrelation as well, and that was very important. We were very strong. We became very strong because we were friends before we were players and everything else. So the first year we went with undefeated. We got into the 3rd division. 3rd division, we went undefeated. We got into the 2nd division. In the 2nd division, we might have drawn 1 game, lost none, and got into the 1st division, which then became harder. Some of us got older, and it became a little bit harder. But at that time, then we got the idea that maybe we should join up with St. Albans. St. Albans wasn't doing that well, and there was quite a few of our boys and our people that were running St. Albans at the time. Croatian people. So
there was a lot of like Volksdeutsch, yeah? Is that right? Was a lot of them?
They were Croatians of Austrian descent, or Slovenian or Austrian descent. That's correct. Yeah.
And so the club amalgamated. It just became stronger and stronger. At what point did the club kind of decide, the next step is to have maybe juniors, and that way always have players coming up through the ranks, and not as you said, the players were starting to get older. Sooner or later, they'd have to then give it away, but you then need juniors to come filter through the ranks. When did the club decide to have
we started the juniors, don't you? We started juniors even when we were in this industrial league. So the juniors, I think we started in 1980. But by that time we were already the Dobson Reserve on Churchill Avenue in Maidstone. So we actually called our juniors Maidstone, Junior Maidstone Junior Soccer Club. And we had so many kids like you wouldn't believe. Like anyone that Melbourne Croatia couldn't accommodate or didn't fit in there wanted to join Dinamo, you know.
So what year was this roughly?
About 1980.
1980. So even then it was basically like, gee, you guys were well ahead of your time. You had one club, but there were two clubs but one club. Bit like the Dinamo group today, where we've got St. Albans Vukovar, Gospić Bears, St. Albans, everything under the one banner. So it's kind of almost like...
So we formed the juniors there. There were so many kids like you wouldn't believe.
Wow.
And of course they couldn't all fit on this Dobson Reserve in Maidstone. So there was a primary school next to the reserve, and they allow us to build, I don't know, one pitch or two pitches on the actual school grounds. Or they might have already had one and we had to do another one. That's how many kids we had.
Wow, what a different era.
So once we joined St. Albans, they already had juniors, and we brought all our juniors. So it became a big club. It became a big club. There wasn't that much difficult running the clubs, but there was this little bit of animosity in the community. Like, did you form the Dinamo so that you know, against Croatia, this and that? It was nothing like that.
Yeah.
It was like there were so many of us, and you can't fit them all into one club.
Yep.
And that's what happened.
Yeah. Now let's talk about some of the highlights. We'll talk about some of the lowlights a little bit later on. But some of the highlights, what were some of the most memorable, I guess, achievements while you were involved with the club?
Well, I think the most memorable thing is the good times we had as a group. I think that, to me, that was the most valuable. As a group, the friends, the friendships that we formed, and relationships for life. You know, like we were holding Zabave, you know, dances, fundraising. Well, we were financing everything out of our own pocket. But I think there's no real big highlights like such. Every game was a highlight. We won one game 29-0.
Oh, goodness me.
We were playing against Illinden, and they came down with 10 players to play against us. And by halftime it was 15-0. They all had to do just lie down or get injured, one player or whatever, and the game would be stopped. We had the referee there and everybody. It was all, you know, legal, and all was above the board. 29-0. There were some of the highlights. Tournaments, going Croatian tournaments, that was always a highlight. I mean, first one we did at Canberra, 1978. We went to Canberra. Wow, how good was that? And of course, there was the Croatian embassy at that time with what was Mario Dešpoja, and which also became a good friend for life. Mario and I. Mario was there, and all this, and then following year in Sydney, tournament in Sydney. These were the highlights. We would go by bus as a group, and with our kids, and kids grew up on the soccer grounds, and we were changing nappies at the soccer grounds. And you know, that's what it was.
What an incredible
girls were selling, you know, bags of chips so just to make some money, you know, and whatever.
Yeah,
you know.
it's all those memories, those fond memories, and the club's now 49 years old. Next year will be the 50th year, and it's great to see new generations coming up through the ranks. But it's I talk to people at the club and people that have been involved with the club, and it's that sense of community that is just so important. And I guess that's probably more important than what happens on the field, even though we always go to win, and we'll talk about what's happening on the field a little bit later on. But you did mention one of the lowlights was perception in the community, and let's get it right. There's only a small minority, but it's always the glasna manjina, as they say in Croatian, the loud minority of people who thought that Dinamo was set up to knock Melbourne, Croatia down to be a competitor, but that wasn't the case
at all. It wasn't the case at all. It was the case of we have 20 boys there wanting to play soccer, and we start in industrial league. Most of us went to support Melbourne, Croatia afterwards. Watch the game and all this. It wasn't the case at all.
What about when?
Westar Prestige is a family-owned second-generation business which is celebrating 50 years of operations this year. They're a specialist prestige collision repair facility situated in the western suburbs of Melbourne, Victoria. However, they service all regions in the state, with many of their clients travelling from far and wide to use their services. They're also able to provide a digital platform for quoting clients' vehicles who are unable to personally attend their premises. They're an authorised manufacturer-approved repair facilities for Mercedes-Benz, Tesla, Peugeot and Suzuki, and are proud of their ongoing affiliation with these brands. They also work closely with a number of Australia's largest insurance brands who entrust them to be part of their preferred repairer network. Their support staff are always happy to assist clients from the initial process of lodging claims through to the final stages of collection of the vehicle on completion of repairs and post-repair. So remember, for all your prestige collision repair needs, consider Westar Prestige, an award-winning, long-standing Australian-owned business.
We're here with Miro Hedges, who was one of the first presidents and heavily involved with St Albans Dinamo in our second instalment of the Dinamo Living Legends series.
Melbourne Knights, Dinamo and all this. You see, Dinamo, most of the boys were Slavonci, Osijek, that part of the world. At that time, Croatia were Dalmatinci. And you see, you got the same business back home in Croatia. You got it right now. Hajduk playing Dinamo, all these things happening. It's not everybody, like I met this guy, one of the ministers that came out now that we got independent state of Croatia and all this, Republika Hrvatska. One of the ministers, and when I said to him, oh, look, we got this bit of an issue. We named the club Dinamo, and they're saying, oh, only the communist countries, Dinamo and all this. We got nothing to do with this, but we got Dinamo in Zagreb, and most of us as kids, supported Dinamo and all this, and Slavonci and all. He said, look, Miro, don't worry about these issues. He said, I'm from Split. We are all members of Hajduk, so that people know where we come from. And we all members of Dinamo, so that they know what we are, Croatians. And don't worry about these issues. And then that's exactly right. He's spot on. We should not worry about these issues. There are always people that will whinge about this and that. We got two wonderful clubs now, Croatia since 1953, 52, 53, whatever, 70 years. Dinamo is now pushing, 40, 45 or whatever. Two wonderful clubs.
That is a wonderful, wonderful way of looking at it. And instead of arguing and fighting, we're too small a community and too small a country. I think we should be celebrating everything and everyone's achievements. And I've been covering the local community for many, many years, and particularly the local sporting community. And I think last year when we had, was it three Croatian clubs in the NPL? We've got, again, 3 this year. It would be great to have 4, and you know what? It would be fantastic if all were successful. But at the moment, some of us are struggling. We'll get back to that just shortly. And speaking of today, how do you see the club? Let's not talk about on the field, because at the moment things aren't going too well. But off the field, and how do you see the club? In your opinion, what's the state of affairs with St Albans Dinamo in 2024?
Good question. Excellent question. You see, when I rolled up there, when I see all those little kiddies running around training, I come there on Tuesday or something, with the ID, their little ID shirts, Dinamo shirts on. it's the feeling that is difficult to describe. But we were one of the first clubs that had a women's team, so we got young ladies around there running around, practicing, playing as well. We got strong juniors. We got strong social club. Okay, we're not doing well playing, and there's a reason for that. The reason is that we have run out of Croatian built players coming through the Croatian academies. There's just not enough of kids that want to play soccer. And so that is the reason we're playing again, with kids that are not from Croatian parents. But so socially, I see the club very strong. We got wonderful kids running around there, having a lot of fun, exercising and all this. We got girls club, we got social club. We're not doing well in the senior soccer department.
Now, speaking of the girls, the women's, that's one good thing that we seem to be doing very well. The senior women's team under Tommy Pondeljak, an absolute legend of the club and of Melbourne, Croatia, coaching, and they're doing very, very well. They're on top of the competition standings, undefeated. And there's a whole, obviously with the women's, the Matildas, doing very well at the Women's World Cup.
Yeah.
That seems to be translating to a lot of girls now playing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How times have changed. Once upon a time, girls were Miss Dinamo, or they were working in the kitchen, and now they're actually playing and enjoying the same benefits as the guys.
In the let's call it old times, good old times, we also had folkloric group Shokadia as well. Which regrettably. But there was lot of young people that remember that. They remember they were part of. So that's why the club is strong socially. The club is very strong because a lot of young adults now, maybe even middle age, reflect to the good old time they had with the club when they were kids and young people, either folklore dancing or through the women's team or through the juniors, that's why it is a strong club.
Now, one other thing I guess that you must be pretty proud to see at Dinamo Churchill Reserve is the different generations. Obviously, there's the first that's still there that comes along to games. The second generation got involved in running the club. The third generation is involved in playing, and in that regard as well. But also, there's we mentioned St Albans Vukovar Gospic Bears Wednesday nights, so there's still that social element. Dinamo has supported Zora with all the issues that they've had in recent times as well. But it's not just that. There's the Zabave, the getting together. There's so much of that as well as working with some of the other clubs. It seems to me that Croatian community spirit is alive and well at Churchill Reserve. And later this year, we hope that the tournament, which will be held by Dinamo, is going to be a big success as well.
During the time that I was president of the Soccer Association, I can't remember exactly what year that was, probably 88 or something like that. Dinamo had a tournament. It was a big deal. We had ministers came from Croatia, so it must have been later. It must have been because already 1991. So it must have been 93 or something, 92, 93. It was a big thing. I think this tournament is going to be a big thing. It will. Dinamo is such a homely club. When people come to Dinamo, they feel like they're home, and as I said, this goes back to these relationships that we have with each other, and this relationship has continued from that old generation to the middle generation to these new generations now. I go in there and I talk to the new presidents like I have talked to all the presidents before him. Whether it was Ivan Maric or whether it was Zvonko Šakić or whether it was Joža Jurgec. By the way, Joža Jurgec was probably one of the best presidents we had at Dinamo. He was there probably for the longest time, and there was lots of things that happened, and team was really strong at the time. But yeah, this is probably this relationship that continues from generation to generations, and I think the tournament is going to be a big thing.
Yeah, we certainly hope
They
so.
certainly need a lot of help.
That's for sure. There's going to be the more volunteers, the better. That's for sure.
Yes.
And if there's one way of mobilising the whole community, it's with these Croatian.
Well,
soccer
Dragica and
tournaments.
I, we have put our names down, and they said, well, they said for me, you know, what is he gonna do? You know, like what can I do? You know, not young anymore. You know,
I'm sure there's
maybe I
lots
can
of-
collect the balls around. You know.
and get fit at the same time. Yeah. Now, Miro, how would you like to see Dinamo develop further as a club? What would you like to see happen in the next few years?
It's an excellent question because but you would have to go and look beyond the senior team.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the senior team now and you just see, you know, a couple of boys there, Michael, you know, Gargic, and you know, a few of these boys, and the rest are, let's say, foreigners. You know,
Yep.
you've got to look behind that
Mm-hmm.
and see what is the future of the club.
Yeah.
And I think it's got big future. Particularly, like you just mentioned, one of the aspects is this women's team, like Matilda's, became really big. So lots of our girls would want to come and play, and so there is a future. There's future in that. Socially, we still need a social club.
Yeah.
You know, we still need a social club. I don't see Dinamo because of the location where it is located on that reserve, and there are limitations there. And the council was never happy with us. So many cars around, you know, noises and all this. I don't see Dinamo, you know, progressing to a national league or whatever.
Yep.
You know, it's just probably not for us. Not the location. It is more like Melbourne Knights with a stadium and everything. You know, that they can progress to that future second league,
second division,
or whatever they call it. Not us, but I think we will remain strong. We got to look behind this, beyond this senior team, and it's not doing too well at the moment. You know, sitting second last or what.
Well, just last week, one of the politicians, the federal politicians, came down to the club, and the committee met with him, and they explained the master plan. There's a big master plan in place to develop the facilities further, to modernise what we've got at Churchill Reserve. And as you said, it's homely at the moment, but we want it to be something that's going to last generations as well. I guess that brings us really to the end, and any final message for Dinamo TV viewers?
Well, what can I say? Keep viewing, keep enjoying.
Is our next guest, and it's a pleasure to welcome to Dinamo TV. Not under these circumstances, but nonetheless, it's great to have Mario Jutriša, who knew pokojni Ivan really, really well. Mario, good evening and welcome to Dinamo TV. How are you?
Good evening. I'm very good. Condolences to the family when we start. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, mate. Mate, you're an icon of the club, a legend. You've been involved in so many, in so many generations of the Jutrišas have been involved at the club. But you specifically, you knew Ivan really, really well, because you and pokojni Ivan used to kind of jumble the roles of secretary many a time.
Yes, we did quite a few times. The reason was that you get tired doing it for about 2 or 3 years, so you want to have a year off. Not really off, just a bit of a break as assistant secretary, and then that's the way we prolonged the life of the committee members.
Yeah, prolong the life of the committee members, and dare I say the club itself. In a year when we're going to be celebrating our 50th anniversary, it's such illustrious characters as Ivan and so many others that have made this club great. What are your recollections of Ivan in the early days? How did you first meet him?
Well, I met him away from the soccer club. He worked with my mum at the sugar factory CSA in Yarraville.
Mm-hmm.
So I knew him away from the soccer as well as at Dinamo. So, yeah, as I said, I've known him ever since he came to Australia.
Yeah, yeah. And how did he get involved in the soccer club at Dinamo?
Oh, like everybody else, he wanted to play. There was a whole heap of us that wanted to play. Unfortunately, not all of us managed to get on a team. Some of us, managed, and so yeah, he was very keen on playing.
Yeah.
And that's where we all stuck together and kept going.
Yeah, so he was secretary for many years. Well, did he assume any other office bearer roles within the committee, or Radni Odbor or anything like that?
Yes, he was. He done a lot of painting and when working bees and all those. He done a whole different, as I said, jobs. If there was a place we needed, he was a very good. He was very tenacious, and he was very particular. He would make sure that you done your job. When he was your assistant, you knew that you had to do everything. And when he was in charge, there was nothing missing.
Yeah,
So he was very, very keen, and this is why everybody knows him, because he worked very hard.
yeah, fantastic. It's certainly going to be a sad loss for the club. Now, the Disco Ducks. How did that come about? Like, have you got any idea how he came up with that nickname, the Disco Ducks, for the senior men's team?
Yes, wasn't issues. I mean, those days we had things. Our boys were party goers, and we had a couple of coaches that wanted to install, like my cum Chulina wanted to install curfews and all that. So, and the players were always found to be somewhere else apart from home. So at the meeting once, I think Pokoni Ivan was a little bit upset, and he said, "Oh, we bloody Disco Ducks," and that's how it stayed.
The supporters were different back then, weren't they? The Disco Ducks, and I guess that's how it stuck. And it became quite legendary. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Was he sick towards the end, or was it just old age, or?
No, I think he was sick for a few years, but none of us actually know how bad, because we're all aging, so we got all our problems. So we see each other at Dinamo. Nobody complains at Dinamo. We're all happy. We just talk, and we don't really know exactly. But yeah, we knew he was unwell, because I see him around St Albans and that, and Taylor's Lake. So we knew he was a little bit ill, but we didn't know how bad, and
to what extent.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Ivan. I forgot. Ivan was a coach as well from juniors, and a few other players. I think he was a team manager at Rezzi's, and well, he was also famous for bringing out Red, White, and Blue. We love you. He was always singing that.
Yeah.
So he did leave a lot of fond memories. Sometimes we laughed, sometimes we were angry, but it was all part of the us being us.
Yeah, and the club put out a tribute just yesterday saying he will be remembered for championing the promotion of our juniors into the senior team and his love for his beloved Dinamo. And for that very, very, I guess, feature factor, he'll always be very, very fondly remembered. Mario, how are you? How's things with you? How's your health? All good, hopefully?
I'm here so far. Yeah, well, knees are going slowly and things like that. But yeah, I think I can still manage my two jobs that I do at Dinamo, which is the Sveti Nikola and working at the bar for the Gold Pass members up the top. But yeah.
Yeah, well, hopefully Sveti Nikola doesn't work in the bar at the same time. Hopefully you're able to differentiate the two roles. But Mario, look, it's as I mentioned, it's the 50th anniversary this year. You've been heavily involved in the club through yourself and your son Danny as well, who's very well known at the club and a past president, and he's got his kids as well. So it's look, lots of generations involved. You've seen the club evolve over the several decades. What kind of leaves you with the most looking back over that time? What's your most kind of fondest memories about the club and where it's come to in these 50 years?
Well, look, there was a bunch of blokes that played at Tobacco St Albans High School, and we're
Mm.
all very good friends. And the more people came, the more friends we became. And we just organised this thing without realising that we were actually a little bit better than most people that were playing in the industrial leagues and that. We managed to get a sponsor, but we were all always together. And we more or less married in the group, all the girls and boys,
Oh, we've just had it just unfortunately looks like it's disconnected. Oh, he's back. He's back. He's there. I'm not sure what happened there, but we keep on talking. So you were saying that the whole group stayed together, pretty much married within the group, I guess, is for want of a better word. And that's how the club's really developed from what was a social club, I guess, has become a real community and a pillar of the Croatian community in Melbourne.
Yeah, well, look, my friends, all our kids, most of our kids are friends, and now even our grandkids are friends.
Yeah,
So
how good is that?
it's it's really I don't know, like a happy seller. Yeah, we're
Yeah,
all just one lot, and we enjoy it. Yes, there's always something happening. So unfortunately, we are getting to the age where some of us are leaving. But
yeah.
yeah, look, I would never change the club. I wouldn't sell the club. I wouldn't merge the club. We love the club, and there's quite a few of us. We're all the same.
Yeah. And are you pretty wrapped with the direction that the club is heading in at the moment? Last year, the Australian Croatian soccer tournament, a lot of people are saying it was one of the best in recent years. The atmosphere, the camaraderie, the community spirit was second to none. And look, this year we're celebrating our 50th anniversary, so it's going to be even more celebrating. Those disco ducks keep on dancing away, don't they? Down at Dinamo.
Yes. Look, when it comes to working for the club, we always manage to find good people, and there's always good people around the club. So this is the reason why we managed to keep going, even though we're not the richest club around, but we managed to keep going because we are just all friends and we all help each other.
Yeah. And mate, finally, what would be your message, I guess, to the next generation as someone who's been heavily involved with Dinamo over the last few decades?
Well, never give up, never leave the club, love the club. I mean, if you have to go somewhere, you have to go, but just remember that we're always a family club. We'll always accept everybody back.
Yeah, love it. Yeah, love it. On that note, Mario, thank you so much for joining us and paying a little bit of a tribute to the great man that was Ivan Pinteric, whose funeral will be on tomorrow night. We'll just pop those details there on the screen. Once again, the funeral service on tomorrow night at the St. Leopold Mandić Croatian Church in Sunshine. The Krunica or the Rosary the viewing begins at 1 o'clock, followed by the Krunica at 1:30. And then the Mass, and then the burial afterwards at 3 p.m. Mario, once again, thank you so much for joining us on Dinamo TV tonight.
No, thank you, and Bog.
Good on you. Mario Jutriša, former club secretary. What hasn't he been at the club? Heavily involved, and as he said, he still has the important role of playing Sveti Nikola in December, and then also manning the bar in the members VIP area upstairs on game day. And that brings us to the end of episode 68, our 30th episode this year for Dinamo TV. Next week on Dinamo TV, on next Wednesday night, we will be having a trip down memory lane with Jozo Jovic. He was our first legend that we interviewed last year. And also a very, very special treat for you all. Recently, just before I went overseas, I caught up with Pedro Gursak at his home in Woodend. And we have not aired that interview. We will be airing that interview, exclusive interview with Pedro next week. It is in Croatian, but it has been subtitled as well. So you will be able to understand all of it. Until next week, folks, enjoy this week coming, and all the very best for the week ahead. Bye-bye.